went live. We're about to go live at the OC Yoga Festival virtual edition, and I'm going to be broadcasting live my talk through Facebook right now. And so I'm excited for you to sit back and relax and enjoy this amazing presentation. And you can sign in live to the OC Yoga Festival and see my whole PowerPoint presentation, or you can just sit back and relax and watch what's happening. Okay, it is 10:30. We're getting started. Thank you, Justin Sturman, and thank you, OC Yoga Festival, and thank you, everybody, for being here, right now. I just want to let you know that we're here. I'm also streaming live through my personal page on Facebook. So Stephen Schwartz, Dr. Stephen Schwartz, you can find me there. Also, since we're talking about social media, my YouTube channel is Bioharmonic Technologies, and Instagram is Dr. Stephen Schwartz, Dr. Vibe. You can find me there as well. And for this hour, I'm going to be spending with you, we're going to be talking about the new Earth paradigm. And we're also going to be talking about Vibrational Healing 101. I saw that was what was put down in the schedule for the OC Yoga Festival. So I have a PowerPoint that I put together. So just give me a second as I share my screen and get that going. And here we go. All right. And here we go. So welcome. My company is called Bioharmonic Technologies, and my name is Dr. Stephen Schwartz. And today we're going to talk about the new Earth and the new Earth paradigm and Vibrational Healing 101. There's lots of great information. It seems like we are always, in the day of TED Talks, we're always talking about 15-minute talks, 5-minute talks. And they always say, if you can't say it in 5 minutes, then you really don't have anything to say. Well, so I really appreciate the OC Yoga Festival and Justin for giving me this opportunity to have an hour, spend a whole hour to do a workshop with you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So once again, my name, just a quick little bio on myself. I've been speaking at the last, 4 OC Yoga festivals with Justin. I've done some sonic alchemy journeys here on the main stage, which have been really fantastic, workshops. And then we've been able to set up vibe zones. You might be wondering what a vibe zone is. I'll be talking more about that as we go further into this presentation. But it's all the foundations of all these things is what's happening right here, right now during this talk, the root of them. Everything else are all the applied sciences. So one of the questions that was posted in the chat is, where's everybody from? Well, I'm originally from New Jersey, and by license, I'm a chiropractor. I went to New York Chiropractic College and moved to Colorado right out of school pretty much, and ended up finding myself having a spiritual awakening and really finding myself aligning into working with chronic degenerative conditions, allergies, and autoimmune diseases, which was not really what I went to school for at all. In fact, I went to school to work with sports injuries, and I moved to Colorado to work with snowboarders. So it's amazing how life turns can just happen. And I think that's really relevant to what's happening right now. Never in the history of modern times has one particular incident affected everybody on the planet simultaneously, which has happened this year with COVID-19 and the coronavirus pandemic. So this is a global portal, and I'm excited to share with you so much information about this. And this is what I'm saying is, we don't know how life is going to unfold. And the bottom line is, it happens, and it's how you choose to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented in front of you. And I talk in detail about that, about my book, Primal Resonance, Discover the Secrets to Health, Vitality, and Optimal Human Performance, which is the picture up on the right. And I'm actually going to spend a lot of this hour talking about the details of that book, because one of my personal experiences as I went into this lockdown, I was actually with Justin in Costa Rica at the end of February at the Envision Festival. And as I was coming down, I was writing my intentions saying, what am I going to do in the month of March? And I said, I'm going to clear my schedule and complete my audiobook, which is something that I've been wanting to do, which I've been working on doing for a good number of months, a lot prior before, but I hadn't started it yet. So I said, March, I'm going to do my audiobook, and I'm also going to complete my vibrational music production class that I'm launching out of a school called Peer Mind up in San Francisco. So those were my intentions. Little did I know that the whole world was going to take a pause in the month of March. And so one of my first things I did was record my audiobook for Primal Resonance, Discover the Secrets to Health, Vitality, and Optimal Human Performance. And I'm going to be talking about that today over the next hour. So I'm a regenerative medicine specialist. This is what I've been working with as a chiropractor since 2000. I started working with autoimmune diseases and chronic degenerative conditions and allergies, and things that just don't get better. As a last resort center, as a last resort center in Denver, Colorado, everybody came into my office that really didn't know where to go. And it was interesting. So like, you know, the stuff you do, the stuff that I worked with, it was all vibrational healing techniques and technologies. I began as a kinesiologist. That's somebody that does like muscle reflex testing. It's like organic biofeedback is really what I call it. It's about going in and checking with your nervous system and reprogramming your nervous system using vibration and using energy. Something that was completely new to me back in 2000, but something that I was indoctrinated into and activated into. Then really it changed my life. And it changed the whole paradigm of how I think and how I treat patients. And so I spent 2000 to 2015 working with the world's most challenging conditions. I mean, I saw cancer patients, we saw autoimmune patients, we saw allergy patients, we saw chronic pain patients, depression patients, learning disability patients, neurological disorders, you name it, we saw it. And I treated all using energy medicine. And what I learned was that illness is directly proportional to living your optimal human performance. Because if you think about it, people are coming in and they're sick and they just want to feel better. Think about even when you have the flu, or think about, God forbid, if any of you out there have actually suffered from the coronavirus, you're just like, oh my God, I feel horrible. I feel, kill me now. I'm on my deathbed. All you want to do is feel better. You're not thinking about actually what you want to do with your life. You know what I'm talking about? What your optimal highest performance is going to be. You're not thinking about anything. You're just saying, oh my God, well, how great would it be for me to be able to go to the store and take a full breath in and take a deep breath in and just basic stuff, right? You're not thinking about anything about optimal human performance. And that's where I spent 16 years of my life, just trying to get people to the starting line. So I used to say that to my patients all the time. What happens when you're out of pain? What happens when you're no longer suffering from your chronic illness? Now what? And that one particular question would blow people's minds. So that's what I'm inviting each and every one of you listening to this talk here today, is I'm inviting each and every one of you to ask yourself that question. What if anything's possible? I don't care about your financial situation, your relationship situation. I don't care about your job situation, your living situation. I don't care about any of that. What I'm going to share with you over the next remaining part of this hour are specific tools and opportunities for you to align yourself into a new dimensional reality. And it starts right here, right now. And I'm asking you this question is, at your highest expression, who are you? How are you contributing to your life and the life of others? So another aspect of who I am in my identity to this world and what I'm offering to this planet is I'm also a sonic alchemist. I own a music company called Bioharmonic Technologies, which is also my technology company. And I've created 7 albums over the last, since 2007. So these albums they're called sonic ceuticals, and they're designed specifically for shifting and influencing physiology in a variety of different ways. I'm going to talk about that in more detail a little bit later on in my talk, but I lead these things called sonic alchemy journeys, and I've led them at the OC Yoga Festival. If any of you have witnessed that or been a part of that, I hope you've enjoyed them. And we're literally creating interdimensional portals. You might be saying to yourself, Dr. Schwartz, what are you talking about? Interdimensional portals? What are these? What is this, Star Trek? A little bit, yeah. But what is an interdimensional portal? An interdimensional portal is a gateway or a doorway between 2 measurable spaces. And that's what also we're going to be talking about during this talk is how do we align ourselves? How do we create disorganization and then reorganize? That was the original subtitle of my talk of this New Earth paradigm, is creating order from chaos. And that is the definition of an interdimensional portal, which I'm going to talk about in just a few minutes. So what I found in my second half of my career is that I went from being a regenerative medicine specialist, where I was working with autoimmune conditions and all of these really advanced conditions, which was really incredible, really amazing, actually. What an incredible experience. I mean, I really became an expert in the world of regenerative medicine. But it was also very draining on me. And what I decided was I actually wanted to work on the other end of the spectrum. How can I take people and evolve them to a higher expression of themselves? Because like I said earlier, if you're chronically ill, you're not living your optimal expression of yourself. And so what I want to do is assist you in moving from wherever you may be and evolve yourself up to a higher level of performance to where you can express yourself and carry this forward to the rest of the world. And that's what I'm doing now as an evolutionary performance expert. And it's really through a process of self-care. That's right, self-care. It's about self-empowerment. You can come to me see me as a patient, and that's great. I'm going to assist you in that process. But at the end of the day, this is all about you taking responsibility for every aspect of your life and evolving that into a higher expression. And that is where I'm passionately, intricately taking my clients and taking humanity as we raise the vibration of the planet and harmonize humanity in this new Earth paradigm right now. And finally, I'm a visionary technology designer. You can see in the lower part of this screen here, we have these beds. They're called vibes, vibrational individualized body enhancement systems. They're ultimately interdimensional portals for your living room. And we're going to talk about that in more detail right now. So let's continue, shall we? So like I said, I initially was calling this talk the New Earth Paradigm, finding order from chaos. And I went online and I found these pictures. And what's incredible is, I don't even remember what year that this was, but it was a long time ago. This picture on the left, this picture of chaos, this is from the I Ching, hexagram number 3. If you have ever studied the I Ching, it's a study of different kind of runes, so to speak, that's Japanese, that help guide you in your life. Actually, human design has a lot to do with this as well. And I saw this picture and I read this definition and I got it, and I got a picture of it and I framed it and I had it next to my bed for a long time. Like I said, I want to say, like I said, I was in Colorado since 2000. And I told myself if I ever got a tattoo, this would be the tattoo that I would get. And I actually did get a tattoo, and it is this exact tattoo. And it is the symbol, the Japanese symbol for chaos. And I remember one of my teachers, she said to me, she's like, Dr. Steve, why would you ever get chaos tattooed on your body? And because of the definition, I want to share with you right now. From disorganization comes organization. And that's the definition of chaos, where great dreams begin. Before a great vision can become a reality, there may be difficulty. Before a person begins a great endeavor, they may encounter chaos. As a new plant breaks through the ground with great difficulty, foreshadowing the huge tree, so must we sometimes push against difficulty in bringing forth our dreams. Out of chaos, brilliant stars are born. I love that definition. And really, if you think about it, just look at your life. Your life is totally organized. Even if it's completely chaotic, it's organized in your life. So if you want to create something new, we have to create a disorganization in your life in order so you can realign into a new dimensional experience, so you can align to a new dimensional experience for yourself that you're going to be creating. And so this is where I'm inviting each and every one of you to embrace the energy of chaos. And let's talk about that. Chaos. What's chaos? How about this lockdown? I mean, dude, this is the complete world chaos. Nobody's allowed to go to work. Nobody's allowed to leave their homes. You know, everywhere has to wear face masks. We're talking about global vaccinations. Everything's changed. Are you shaking people's hands or hugging people? Or you're not touching people? How do you date? How do you socialize? Now we're doing this yoga festival online. If this isn't global chaos, I don't know what is. However, from this definition, from disorganization comes organization. So this is a brilliant, amazing time for creating a new earth paradigm for every single person on this planet. And a way to harmonize humanity begins with harmonizing yourself first. So now, I always say though, I've had a lot of chaos in my life. For those of you that know about human design, I'm a 3-5 splenic projector. So I seem to have a lot of chaos in my life that's always around me. And I'm actually wanting to bring more stability. I'm wanting to bring more into my life, where I am in my life at this particular moment. And this is actually the next tattoo that I'm going to be getting on my body. I'm actually looking for that right tattoo artist to do this. And it's going to be on my opposite shoulder. And this is the Sri Yantra mandala. This to me represents organization. And it also represents nature. This represents the phi ratio in the Fibonacci sequence. This is the balance of the universe. So as we are breaking through the earth, defying gravity to get some momentum going and releasing energy, like in this Japanese picture of the I Ching hexagram number 3 of chaos, we can now create balance in order with the through the Sri Yantra mandala, which I said is going to be my next tattoo. So in this place here, this is what I'm wanting to share with you. Once again, the last question I asked on the last slide is, if there was no limitations in anything in your life, what is your highest evolutionary expression of yourself? Who are you? And there's no wrong answer to that. And now my next question I'm asking you is, if you're finding yourself in chaos right now, you are disorganized, you have an opportunity to retract back into finding your little happy zone. And like what I like talking about, like finding what's normal. You want to get back to normal. What is normal? Is normal so great? And maybe it is great. What parts of your life is great? What part of your life maybe not so great? You can retract out of the chaos back to what you're familiar with, or you can take this opportunity to take a deep breath in and embrace the chaos and allow the disorientation of yourself spinning through this new unfamiliar earth into allowing yourself to ground into a new organized reality of your choosing. And you might be saying, how do we do that? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about for the remainder of this hour that we have together. So once again, I said this before, this is my book that I wrote in 2014. I wrote the book. And like I said, I was in practice from 2000 to 2015 in Denver, Colorado. And my patients would always say, Dr. Schwartz, you should write a book. And I said, you know what, I'm going to write a book in my 40s. And this book came out actually when I turned 40 in 2014. I wrote this book, but really this is a book that I wrote. It's a documentation of my entire life, and it's called Primal Resonance: Discover the Secrets to Health, Vitality, and Optimal Human Performance. It's been referred to as the doctrine to the new earth, and it reveals the top 10 ways on how to reverse aging and degeneration using sound, light, and frequency technologies. And we're gonna, and like I said earlier in this talk, my first order of business in this chaotic lockdown, when it first happened, I moved out of my apartment in Venice Beach into the suburbs about 2 hours east of Los Angeles, into a friend's house where I was living with his family. And him and I knew exactly what was happening. We had a meeting and we said, this is the new earth upon us. What intentions can we set in this chaos to organize into welcoming this new paradigm into our lives? And I said, I'm going to write my audiobook. And I read my audiobook cover to cover the first time since it was written in 2014. And I said to myself, wow, this is the doctrine to the new earth. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why that is. And I got super inspired. And I said, my whole mission is to get this information out to the entire planet, which is actually why I wrote the book in the first place, and also is why I moved to California in the first place from Colorado back in 2015. It was to raise my game, to expand my platform, and to get this message out, because it's so, so important. And you might be wondering, what's so important about Dr. Schwartz? We're going to talk about that now. So the first chapter in my book that I wrote in 2014 is called A New Epidemic in America. And if you replace the word America with world, we literally are explaining the pandemic to a T. And it's the first chapter that I wrote about. And this is a quote. This is one of my quotes. I'm going to quote myself from my book. And it says, the new epidemic is so insidious. And what that means it's slow moving, slow penetrating. And it's so widespread that it is not even perceived as a problem in the eyes of the masses. It is accepted as commonplace in the modern world. The positive side effect of this epidemic is that it is treatable, it is curable, and the remedies to correct it all have their tools in the laws of nature. So looking at that, I love that quote that I wrote in this book, because what the actual epidemic is chronic systemic inflammation. And I get in detail about exactly what this is in my book, and I recommend all of you to pick up a copy on Amazon, or you can order it through my website, bioharmonictechnologies.com. But chronic systemic, what's the definition of chronic? Chronic is long-standing, systemic, full body inflammation. And inflammation is something that exists in two forms, acute and chronic. Acute is, I have an injury, I fell off my bicycle, or I hurt myself surfing or playing a sport or something. And you get swelling, and you get local heat, and you have all these natural chemicals are released in the body. And but then what's happened is that's supposed to be resorbed into the body, and it helps the body heal. Inflammation, chronic wise, is it's long standing and it doesn't turn off, it doesn't go away. And there's specific triggers that cause chronic systemic inflammation. And it's things like toxins. It's things like infectious agents, like a virus, like the coronavirus. But it can be parasites, bacteria. There's a variety of other infectious agents, mold, fungus, yeast. All of these things are related to triggers that can create chronic systemic inflammation. I'm going to get into more details about what that is in just a few minutes. But this is the new epidemic in America. And just as the news is reporting about, now it's not just for old people. Beginning, they were saying about, coronavirus is for immune compromised, is really the people are getting hit the most are the people that are immunocompromised and are seniors. That's true because their bodies are suffering from chronic systemic inflammation. And now they're showing that there's more of a younger population that are contracting the coronavirus. And is it because you're going to bars or because you're not social distancing, all those things? Possibly. But I can also tell you that since 2000, I've been treating patients of all ages. In fact, my nephew, who was born in 2000, just turned 20 2 days ago. So all of a sudden, he's a young person, and could he be contracting? And he just started college. He's a sophomore in college. Could he be contracting the coronavirus? Possibly. Is he in good shape? Absolutely. But were there kids that I was treating since 2000 that were little babies that have been suffering from chronic systemic inflammation, that had chronic food allergies, that had ADD, that were vaccinated way too early, had autism, had all kinds of imbalances in the body, and were really not healthy? They were not thriving. They were not expressing their highest evolutionary performance expression of themselves since really the young age. Yes. Are these people susceptible to coronavirus, and are they young people under 30? Absolutely. And it's because of this horrible virus that nobody knows anything about. Honestly, in my opinion, it all comes down to the new epidemic in America that is now not just in America. It's the pandemic of the world, but it's the same thing: chronic systemic inflammation. And so I invite each and every one of you to send me messages, ask me about this, pick up a copy of my book. I talk about this in detail, and we're going to talk about this more right here, right now. So there's 10 components to this new earth activation. And each one of these are chapters in my book, Primal Resonance: Discover the Secrets to Health, Vitality, and Optimal Human Performance. If you follow these 10 components, I can promise you that your activation into this new earth is going to be fruitful and amazing. And if you're not really following these 10 steps of this new earth activation, then you might be more susceptible to things like the coronavirus and COVID-19 and other kinds of potential health issues that could be going on right now. So I want to go over that. And real quickly, before I jump into these top 10 components, I want to share with you something that came in. A woman, she channels the Galactic Federation. If you want to know that or not, that's another whole talk that we can talk about. But ultimately, her name is Elizabeth April, and she's a channel, and she talks about the 3-dimensional world versus the 5th dimensional world. And there's an expansion happening between 3D and 5D. Essentially, there's 2 simultaneous worlds that are being activated right now. The old world of everything that we know, everything that's been happening in the old world, the banking system, the healthcare system, the educational system, the money system, everything, basically, everything, the three-dimensional world. And now there's a new evolutionary process happening called 5D, where we're raising the vibration of the planet. And this is what's been prophesized actually by the Mayans and the end of the Mayan calendar. It happened in December 21st, 2012. It was the end of a 52,000 year cycle. And I was like, look, the world didn't end in 2012. The cycle ended. And now 8 years later, look at what's happening. Energy begins in these cycles. It goes from a place of 1 grain of sand to multiple grains of sand to a massive tipping point. Boom, 52-year cycle to boom, 1 grain of sand, 2 grains of sand, where you're in these like kind of wave cycles is what's happening. And now 8 years later, we're now in this global pandemic, which has literally liberated this planet to a higher vibrational expression into what is being referred to as 5D, or the 5th dimension. So this book that's been called the Doctrine to the New Earth, I always liked when people referred it to that. I actually did not call it, that was other people referred to it as that. But as I read through this book and recorded my audiobook, it's totally the Doctrine to the New Earth. And these are the 10 steps that I'm inviting each and every one of you to explore within each and every one of your lives. Number 1, hydration. Repeat after me, everybody. Hydrate, vibrate, gyrate. Gyrate, spin, activate. Why is that important? Super important. And I'm actually going to take a drink of water right now. Oh my God. So good. In this chapter, I don't have time to get into each of the details of each one of these chapters, but I will touch on one very famous research quote that I talked about in my book that really has changed my life, that I want to share with each and every one of you. Dr. James Oschman wrote a book called The Scientific Basis of Energy Medicine. And he said that for every 10% reduction in cellular hydration, our cellular physiology reduces by 1 million times. 1 million times. So the difference between life and death, when we're coming into this as babies, we're about 90% water as just little babies. And then seniors that tend to die of natural causes are grossly dehydrated. They say that usually their body levels of hydration is about 50%. So the difference between life and death, really based off of hydration, is only 40%. And that makes sense that we start getting a scrambling of our computer programming when we're dehydrated by 4 million times. What do you think that's going to do to our immune system? So hydration, number 1 chapter in this, number 1 of the top components. So start with hydration, then vibration, and then gyration. Number 2, optimal cellular communication. And what is optimal cellular communication? Optimal cellular communication is how our cells communicate. I'm going to talk about this. Actually, I have a whole slide in just a few minutes we're going to get into. And this is vitally important. We're going to keep moving forward. I'm actually going to talk more about it in just a few minutes. So just remember that. Number 3, detoxification. We have to take the trash out of our bodies. We got to keep our blood clean. The air we breathe, the water that we drink, the thoughts that we think, the food that we eat, all of these things are totally toxic, and we need to have ways of detoxifying them. So this is a great chapter in my book as well on detoxification. The next, number 4, what's happening right now? Positive thoughts. People talk about the pandemic, the COVID-19, the biggest pandemic that's going on is the negative fear thought process that's being implemented into our society about getting sick. You want to keep yourself happy and healthy? I encourage each and every one of you to keep your thoughts positive. And it's free. Seriously, if you're locked out in your house and you start getting all these alerts on your phone talking about like all these outbreaks of everything that's going on, just journal, write something positive, think something positive, and it'll literally change your whole vibrational expression. So positive thoughts right now is vitally important for this new earth activation. And it's easy to do. Positive actions and exercise. Once again, it's so funny because what do they close? What's closed down during this new earth pandemic? All the gyms. People are freaking out about not being able to go to the gyms, and buying weights and all these things are on the market are super expensive because people are just working out in their homes. Go outside, take a walk. That's exercise. Positive actions. Help somebody else. Like I feel like this talk that I'm giving you, this is my positive action. This is what I'm really sharing because I feel like my book is a positive action. My audiobook, my vibe technology. Right now is a time when this planet is raising its vibration to a highest expression. And it's really important that our positive actions are going to balance out all the negative actions that are going on. And we're talking about global vaccinations and not able to fly and not being able to go to schools and not going to be able to go to work and corporations and ration foods and all these crazy things going on. Those are all negative actions. So I invite you to take a look at your life and make notations of how you can create positive actions in your life. Once again, number 6, clean organic diet. Clean organic diet. This is important too. I mean, I just moved into a new, what's called the Quantum Vibe Portal here in Marina Del Rey. I shared with you in the beginning of this talk that chaos, from disorganization comes organization. I moved out of my apartment in Venice Beach into just when the lockdown happened, and I moved to the suburbs 2 hours away in with a friend of mine into his family's house where I was renting a room from them. Total chaos. And now I just moved back to Marina Del Rey, where I moved into this beautiful town home. And just a block from here, every Saturday, actually going on right now, is an amazing organic farmers market. And I've committed to putting in good, clean food into my body. And I invite each and every one of you to do the same. It's vitally important in this new earth activation. I find it very interesting at these times where they would close the beach, where we have miles and miles and miles of open stretch natural resources of negative ions crashing against the sand, and we can ground into that. But yet we can go into supermarkets and be within 6 feet or less of people buying processed foods. There's a disconnect there. So inviting each and every one of you to take control of your diet and eat clean and organic. And like I said, there's an amazing chapter in my book that gets into the details of organic farming. Number 7, stress relief and relaxation. I feel like this is one of the best silver linings of this pandemic. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, where it's just go, go, go all the time. And where else got hit really hard? The East Coast, New York, Florida, all these places that there's a lot of stress of really always being on the go. And now if people feel a little under the weather, what do? They relax. They put themselves in quarantine. That's become like a new term. Hey, I'm going to put myself in quarantine. I was down with Justin, the founder of the OC Yoga Festival, just a few weeks ago, and we were down there for his birthday. We're down in Tulum, and we were taking advantage of the surroundings and everything happening, and we all put ourselves into our own individual quarantine for a day because we weren't feeling great. We gave ourselves permission to relieve stress and relax. And I just want to make a comment. One of my favorite components I talk about in my book is about how in nature, there's basically 3 fundamentals in nature that exist. One is you're either resting, reproducing, or eating. Those are the three. Like, think about a lion. They're either resting, reproducing, meaning they're having sex, or three, they're eating. Why is it that humans are so different? Really, if we look at all the nature, all the creatures that exist on this planet, they all are doing exactly the same thing. They're either reproducing, resting, or eating. We've created this crazy, chaotic life for ourselves, and I think if the pandemic has shared anything, if taught us anything, it's to slow down and to cherish our health, to get ourselves healthy. And that's what I'm really excited for each and every one of you to take this message away. I've been preaching this to my patients since 2000, and now it's affected us on a global level. An elimination of infectious agents. This is the pandemic. This is how you, and I don't have time to get into this right now, but I have a detailed chapter of working with infectious agents. This has been the cornerstone of my practice since 2000. And this has been the cornerstone of my practice since 2000 has been, how do we work using vibrational healing techniques and technologies to boost your immune system and to eliminate infectious agents. We've all heard of Dr. Royal Rife and Dr. Hulda Clark, and who worked with frequencies and to shatter the expression of cancer cells and of chronic infection. That's real, because when we look at an infection, like, do you guys realize the size of a virus? It's 0.00 between 3 and 5 micrometers, millimeters rather. So it's a speck, and it penetrates inside of a cell, and the cell operates from a place of quantum physics, not Newtonian physics. Quantum physics talks about potentiality, waves, and particles. That's a whole other lecture that I can't really get into at this moment, but just know that it operates off of energy. And so this is more of an energetic disturbance than it is a physical disturbance. And this is why I'm wanting you to realize that if you can control your energetic field, this virus can never penetrate that field. It will take away, it won't have any energy to penetrate you and to make you sick. And if you do get sick, you'll get over it quickly, no problems. Elimination of allergies. Once again, allergies is a huge component to a compromised immune system. It's an error in the immune system. It's a glitch in the nervous system. And due to programming, a lot of it has to do with a breakdown in optimal cellular communication and hydration. And finally, my favorite chapter of this book, one of my favorite chapters actually, is following your intuition. Right now, there's so much information that's coming at us, and it's very fear-based, and it's scary. It's trying to scare you. Right now, because of the fifth dimension, the whole planetary vibration has raised. So whether you're into the whole notion of psychic abilities or intuition or any of these kind of things, whether that's something that you buy into or not, I want each and every one of you to know that just by what's happening during this pandemic in 2020 and what's been happening since the end of the Mayan calendar of the last cycle, the 52,000-year cycle in 2012, everybody's psychic intuitive senses have been elevating and raising. And so I'm encouraging each and every one of you to follow that intuition more now than ever. Each and every one of you can trust your intuition. And this is one of my favorite chapters, and I look forward to having each and every one of you read that chapter in my book. So this is the next aspect. This is the science of transformation. Remember, we talked about how can we transform our lives from chaos into order. This is how we do it, and this is a process that I refer to. And once again, this is all written in detail in my book, Primal Resonance, Discover the Secrets to Health, Vitality, and Optimal Human Performance. We're talking about something called the Genie's Lamp phenomenon. So I want each and every, so right now, as you're hearing this, what are the 3 components to the Genie's lamp phenomenon? Good, you guys can send a message here if you'd like. Oh, by the way, we're streaming live on my Facebook page, Stephen Schwartz. We're live right now. So please come join me there as well. Number 1. That's right, you need the Genie. Number 2, you need the lamp. However, just because you have a Genie and you have a lamp, you're not creating, what's the 3rd component? The wishes, right? How do you activate the wishes? You have to rub the lamp. Because the legend of the Genie's lamp is that the Genie is in the desert, cooped up inside of this lamp, waiting for somebody to rub it so they can grant that person 3 wishes. So what is the Genie? The Genie is your intuition. It's your subconscious mind. It's your intention. That's what the Genie is. It's your intention and intuition. And the lamp represents your body, your vessel. The 3-dimensional spacesuit that I like to refer to it as is, how do you have, we operate in this 3-dimensional space. We operate in this 3-dimensional world, and how do we create magic? How do we manifest the law of attraction? How do we create transformation? And remember, I talked about being a regenerative medicine specialist and now an optimal performance, an evolutionary performance expert. How do we take somebody from being chronically ill to a higher level of health? We need to follow these principles of our intentions and activating the vibration in our bodies. And now rubbing the lamp, this is how we do it. We can do it through yoga. This is the OC Yoga Festival. Exactly. I love doing yoga because it's very intentional, setting your intentions when you're in downward facing dog, breathing, holding that space, breaking through. One of my favorite instructors, Nama Steve in San Diego, who has been leading Law Street Yoga every Saturday, Sunday for over 10 years, used to talk about organized. He used to talk about a simulated, stressful environment, about holding that pose that you're freaking out about in yoga. You just breathe into it. Love that. Hello, Nama Steve. Hope you're doing well. But now what I'm actually talking about here with this Genie's lamp phenomenon is taking it into the cells. We're at the micro level, talking about the living connective tissue matrix and all these other aspects. So we're going to talk about that now, actually. So just to recap, the Genie's lamp phenomenon is all about your intention, the body, and then rubbing the lamp, activating your body with your intention to create transformational change. And I have a great, I did a whole talk many years ago. It's on my YouTube channel. If you go to Bioharmonic Technologies and go to like vintage Dr. Schwartz videos, it's one of my categories in there. Or you could actually put in with Adventures in Transformation Weekend. I have a whole 3 or 4 video series on talking about this exact thing, the Genie's lamp phenomenon. So I encourage each and every one of you to invite you to go to my YouTube channel and watch those videos. But this is a little excerpt of that principle. And once again, this is defined in more detail in my book. So let's get into the actual details of how do we rub the Genie's lamp at the cellular level. This is what this is all about. This is where we have 10 minutes left in this talk, and I want to spend this next 10 minutes really getting into the nuts and bolts of cellular memory and how do we raise the vibration of the planet. You do it through raising the vibration of our cells, and of ourselves. So what is cellular memory? Well, what are the 3 components of our cells? First of all, intercellular fluid. We talked about hydration. That was the first of their 10 components for new earth activation. Intracellular fluid, that is water. Like I said, a 10% reduction in cellular hydration reduces in a reduction in cellular physiology by 1 million times. Water holds memory. That is what Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, the father of homeopathy, has, that's the whole principle of homeopathy, is that the concentration, the energetic signature of a substance is more powerful than the physical substance itself, and that it holds its memory in water. Dr. Emoto talked about that as well too, with when you imprint frequencies into water, it creates a crystalline structure. Organelles. Organelles are responsible for cellular metabolism. These are this is what responds to your external environment to create our cells for them to reproduce happily and healthily. And then finally, the living connective tissue matrix. The living connective tissue matrix is what surrounds the cell and gives it shape. And this is what is made up of microfilaments, microtubules, and intermediate tubules. This is when we talked about number 2 in the top 10 list on new earth activation. This is optimal cellular communication. That's what we're talking about right now. Microfilaments, microtubules, and intermediate tubules. These are the biological, physiological materials that respond to our environment, surround every tissue and system and cell, and that respond to our environment through vibrational resonance. That's right, through vibrational resonance. And so basically the food that we eat, the water that we drink, the thoughts that we think, and the air and the environment for which we keep around us is filtered through the living connective tissue matrix. And that is what leads us to what leads us to creating positive chemistry in our bodies. So the vibration comes in, and if we're around fear and we're around toxicity and we're around all this toxic people and our toxic environments, we're going to create toxic chemistry, period. If we're around harmonic architecture, like living in like round and soft edges, if we're around water and we're surrounded nice positive visual aspects of ourselves, we're around people that are nice to us, if we're around high vibrational food, all of these things create positive chemistry. We are physical manifestations of our own energetic expressions. And that's where I invite each and every one of you to look at your personal environment around you and see what kind of, and just guess, do you think this is creating positive chemistry or negative chemistry? Well, that's really, I think you'll know the answer to that just based off of how you feel. If you don't feel good, you're around negative chemistry. If you feel good, you're around positive chemistry. And it's a really simple equation. If you don't feel good, go put yourself around something positive. Go get a hug. Go exercise. Go get some fresh air. Go follow that top 10 list. If you don't know exactly how to do that, please send me a message through social media. I'd love to hear from you. So, like I said, I started a music company in 2007 called Bioharmonic Technologies. And there was an infamous cat allergy experiment that I conducted in 2007 when, like I said, I've been seeing patients using energetic medicine and techniques and technology since 2000 for reversing chronic illness. From 2000 to 2007, it was an incredible journey that I was on, really seeing lots and lots of patients, traveling around the world, taking plant medicines, really working on this whole theory in my mind of what's going on. And in 2007, I ended up coming across I just said to myself, I need a new delivery system. And what I was doing before was using these little glass tubes that I could put into your field and muscle test you, and it would reprogram your energetic field. That was great, but I had like 1,000 of these vials. It was hard to travel with. And I thought I had associates coming in. I wanted something a little more streamlined. I said, what if we, instead of using energetic signatures, what if we used audio files? And I went into my friend's recording studio, and he was a patient of chronic allergies to cats. And we recreated my very well-documented, very successful cat allergy protocol in his recording studio and successfully eliminated his cat allergy in 2007. And there's a whole story to that I don't have time to get into, but just know that that was the beginning of my music company, Bioharmonic Technologies. And I said, let's make music. Also, what came out of that was you also started developing biofeedback systems as well. Biofeedback systems came from that because instead of working with kinesiology and muscle testing the body, which I call organic biofeedback, I wanted a system that we could have other people trained on that they can utilize and tapping into their own mainframe computer and reprogram it. And I'm a biofeedback expert actually, and I developed a biofeedback system called the ASA Balance in 2010. And now I'm working with a biofeedback company called the Healy. And we've been able to integrate our technology into that. I'll talk about it in just a minute. But I want to go over these albums with you. I've created these projects. They're called Sonic-ceuticals, healing through sound, Sonic-ceuticals. And just the same as a pharmaceutical is a healing remedy, this is a healing remedy, but using sound, utilizing sound. And these are the programs that we have designed for shifting and influencing physiology. Energy clearing, that's the first album. Emotional balancing, that's the second album called Cellular Attunement. Physical healing and stem cell activation, that's on my third album, Sonic-ceuticals Volume 1. Detox anti-inflammatory is a Sonic-ceutical we created in Cell Cleanser. And really that one, that was created in 2014 as well. And it's perfect for the corona pandemic because it works with infectious agents and dirty electromagnetic fields like 5G. Brain and nervous system balancing is associated with spectrum and creativity activation. A lot of people report DMT experiences with that. It's great for ADD, depression, anxiety, all these things. And then how to envisioning the future, that's transformation and abundance. It's a fantastic Sonic-ceutical. And then we have a one called The Journey, and The Journey has three different journeys: one of self-actualization, a grounding journey, and a spaceship journey to Pluto. So these are all Sonic-ceuticals that are available. Actually, all of these are available at our virtual booth. So please come to our virtual booth after this and talk to me. I'm going to be set up in there. I'd love to have a conversation beyond this talk, which, let's see, how much time we have left here. We are coming down to it. We have about 5 more minutes left, and we're right on perfect timing here. So in 2009, after my second album came out, I said to myself, this music that I'm making is more than just music that should be heard through headphones or through the body, or through the field, rather, through your energetic field. It should be vibrated as medicine into the connective tissue. And I had an idea, in fact, so interesting. I'm sitting here in my office. In 2009, I had a vision that I was supposed to make something called a healing pod. I want to share this with you. This is in 2009, 3 days after I had this download floating in hot springs in southern Colorado. I had a whole series of concept sketches made. And from there, I began pursuing making hardware for my Sonic-ceuticals. And now we're manufacturing these technologies called the Vibes. Vibrational Individualized Body Enhancement System. So we have 2 models, the Vibe 3.1 and the Vibe 3.2. And these are full body music and frequency activated delivery systems that you can lay on, and it vibrates all of my Sonic-ceuticals into your body, and also biofeedback frequencies as well. Like I said, we talked about the Healy. Now you can plug the Healy, which has hundreds of frequency programs. You can plug that right into our bodies, right into the Vibe rather, and actually sonify the vibration of this biofeedback frequencies into the body specifically. So this is, that's what the Vibes are all about. And we're actually, throughout today and tomorrow, we're going to be setting up virtual vibe sessions where you guys can actually see what that's all about. Right over my shoulder here is one of my vibes, and we have a whole interdimensional portal set up for that, for you guys to experience virtually this weekend. So as we're coming down to the end here, it's been quite the journey. And I'm real excited to present this information. It's been a long time since I've done an hour presentation. Actually, last time we did one was actually not that long ago, actually. I apologize, for harmonizing humanity. But I haven't really gotten into this kind of details in quite a while. So thank you, Justin, and thank you, OC Yoga Festival, for the opportunity to share all of my wisdom and knowledge with you. This is all my contact information. Dr. Schwartz 360, that's my personal communication portal. Access to all the social media there. You can contact me there for sure. Dr. Stephen Schwartz, Dr. Steve at bioharmonictechnologies.com. This is my personal email, my direct line. These are my company contacts. And we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Bioharmonic Technologies. Please follow us on all the social media channels. And once again, we're going to be in our booth, virtual booth. I think it's going to be right at the top. So as soon as you exit out here, our booth is going to be available. Please come and check out our shop. We have all the technologies we talked about. We can answer questions, and we're going to have an ongoing virtual, we're going to be there. Myself and some of my colleagues are going to be there as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we are back. Outside of this process, outside of this talk, and I really enjoyed this last hour. Not sure if there's any questions here or not. Any questions that you guys do have, please come visit me in my virtual booth. All of that is actually right here, I see, posted. So as soon as I close this Zoom, I'm going to be going over to my booth, and please come over and join me. Thank you so much. Namaste. My name is Dr. Stephen Schwartz, or Dr. Vibe. And I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you real soon. And you've also been broadcast, this whole thing's been broadcasted on my live Facebook feed as well. So thank you. I'll talk to you all soon.